I think what Dad taught me was, if you walk in obedience, God's going to take care of the rest. You know, there's a lot of sacrifice that's gone into building this site. And I remember coming up for the groundbreaking ceremony. It was my sister and my mom and Dad and me. And the committee had decided on the ideal location for the chalet. But right in the middle of that was the biggest tree on the whole property. And it was smack dab where we wanted to build the chalet. And that tree had to be sacrificed. And maybe that was just an indication of what Oshkidee was going to be about. There is sacrifice that's involved in running this kind of facility. And I can remember Dad making mention of that we were going to have to sacrifice this tree, but it was for a greater good. It was so that this camp could be built, the chalet could be built, and it would be there to serve the needs of our campers, but it would be there for the purposes of God. Camp Oshkidee is about providing an opportunity for you to live together intentionally in a place where you can also grow spiritually, where you can grow further in your relationship with God and with each other. Grow your family. Bring your family to life. Come to Camp Oshkidee. There's a sense of purpose here. There's a sense of belonging here, because this ministry meets a need that most people don't even know they have. Part of the story of being on this land is actually enduring life in a boreal forest where there are forest fires. And on no less than 3 occasions, we have been threatened by forest fire. And most recently, there was one that came up the east side of the lake. And we've had this story told to us by some of the firefighters who were on the ground on the day when they were getting ready to pull out because this fire was coming. The fire reached the fire break, and the wind turned. Dad, in his final address, always at the banquets that we would have, when he would get up and pray, he would say, and God, if it should ever happen that Camp Oshkidee stops being a ministry for you, and he says, God, then please burn it to the ground. I was always shocked by that statement. But you know, it was just a reflection of his commitment to be part of a ministry that honored God, that grew families for God's purposes. And so to that end, we continue to pray that God would preserve this place for His purposes and not for our own. So one of the things that I learned from Dad was just trust God in everything. His faith that God would provide in absolutely every way. He just was a real man of faith, and he believed that God was going to provide. And at one point I remember him saying, you know, if it doesn't look quite the way that it should, well, I guess this is a test of faith. What do I believe about God? Is He going to provide? Is He going to provide the way I think He should provide? God will provide in every way. And so as we work together as a board and as a committee, as we gather volunteers, you know, building this ministry, carrying on this ministry, we're just trusting God every day. Give us the wisdom to know what to do today. This camp would not be what it is were it not for the volunteers that came in the early days to clear the land, to pick rocks, to cut wood, to build the buildings. The cedar log buildings that we have here were all constructed by volunteers. Were it not for volunteers, there's no way this facility would be here. This ministry would not be here. And that goes right back from the beginning to now. Our May long and September long serve weekends are opportunities for people to come and help and to participate. And if you're someone who appreciates Camp Oshkidee, wants to see Camp Oshkidee continue, I would encourage you to engage. Camp Oshkidee continues to have needs. And if you feel an urge in your heart, a tug in your heart, to participate in this ministry, whether it's by volunteering, serving on our board, serving on our camp committees, or making a financial donation, then I would just ask you to be obedient. Not to me, not to the ministry, but to God. If He's calling you to do this, I don't need to say any more. And God will provide, like He always has. We're absolutely convinced of that.